با سلام و درود خدمت دوستان گرامی. همطور که قبلا وعده کرده بودیم، از اونجایی که شهر صوفیا در بلغارستان یک شهر بسیار تاریخی و قدیمی هست، 7000 سال قدمت داره، نتونستیم همینطوری ازش بگذریم. به همین دلیل تصمیم گرفتیم یک ویدیو از کل مراکز دیدنی این شهر برای شما تهیه کنیم. برای این کار ما از یک شرکت توریستی کمک گرفتیم و با اونها سفر کردیم تا بتونیم اطلاعات دقیق‌تری برای شما تهیه کنیم. مثلا در مورد اون کلیسایی که گفتم در جنگ جهانی اول بمباران شد، خب اشتباه گفته بودم، اصلاحش میکنم. اون در واقع بمبگذاری شده بود و در واقع یک عمل تروریستی بود. همطور که قبلا گفتم خدمتتون، این شرکت فری سوفیا تور بود که ما یه عکس دست جمعی هم با هم انداختیم که تابلو رو دادن دست ما.
So you see the church nowadays, how it looks like, but what happened in this church 100 years ago was the biggest act of terrorism in our history. And now unfortunately I'm going to tell you a story about people losing their lives. Okay? So it was 1925, exactly 100 years ago. And the Bulgarian Communist Party, which was illegal by the way, decided it's time for revolution, time to kill the king, take power, build communism, like the Bolsheviks in the Soviet Union. But how to kill the king? They had a genius idea. First they killed a general from the army, from the military, and they knew his funeral was going to take place in this church, and they knew everybody important was attending the funeral. So what did the communists do? They planted 40 kilograms of dynamite, explosives, on the roof, on the dome of the church. And when the funeral was taking place, the church was full of people. The whole square around us was full of people. They blasted explosives. The roof collapsed inside over the people. Stones were flying all around the square on top of the people. It killed more than 200 and injured more than 500. At this point of history, in 1925, it was the biggest act of terrorism in the world. And now until this day, it's the biggest act of terrorism in our country. Terrible story, 200 killed, 500 injured by the communists, 1925, 100 years ago. It failed. It failed. It failed. The king didn't die.
No.
But why didn't the king die? Well, on my tours I have to ask you questions. If you answer them, you win a reward. It's a candy. I know that you're grown-up people,
He
but...
was late.
He wasn't there. Okay. So we're gonna spend a bit more time here, guys, because I love my hometown of Sofia. We go down the stairs, and what do we discover? The Middle Ages, medieval times. So the church you guys are sitting around is in the Middle Ages, medieval times, 14th century. The second Bulgarian state, you remember it was the first, second, third. This is the second Bulgarian state, 14th century. And it has a beautiful name. The name is Sveta Petka Samarđiska, Saint Petka of the Settlers. So Saint Petka Church, the unique thing about it is that the church from the Middle Ages was built on top of the Roman Empire. So down in the basement we have like the Roman Empire temple or a tomb, and above it Middle Ages, medieval times. Best place to show you how here in Sofia we don't have like the old town. You know, we have everything mixed together at one place, coexisting together. For example, the massive white buildings up there are from communism, 1950s, the 20th century. Down there, you saw the mosque there. The mosque is from the 16th century, Ottoman Empire. The church, I told you, 14th century, Middle Ages, medieval times. Down there, we're going to see bricks and stones from the Roman Empire, Imperio Romano, 4th, 5th century antiquity. And over there, we have a metro station, 21st century. So, very small area, but simultaneously, we're in like 5 historical periods. 21st century, 20th, 16th, 14th, 14th. And all the time I'm going to tell you, let's go up communism. And then down to the Roman Empire. And then in the backyard is the Ottoman Empire. So we're going to change historical periods in a matter of like minutes and minutes. Now, if you want to go and see an old town, Sofia, one mosque, because plenty of Christians and not so many Muslims. But in Bulgaria as a country, we are approximately 7 million people, 500,000 are Muslims, like 8% of the population. So if you go to the northeast or southeast, or south of the country in the mountains. Some places, some areas, you can see more mosques than churches because more Muslim people live there than Christians. And those are like coming nowadays. No, we have some, but not so many, guys. Those Muslim people have been living here for centuries. Because I told you we were part of the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire was a Muslim empire. And of course, at the beginning, it was not like super peaceful. It was the Middle Ages, so you can imagine how it was like. There were some false specifications. Some people like accept Islam or die. Some people like tortures and so on and so forth. It was a conquest. It was the Middle Ages, so of course, it was not the best time to be alive. However, through the centuries, step by step, century after century, people, by the time passing, learned more or less how to coexist somewhat peacefully with each other. That's why today, guys, if you go to some regions like the northwest or the northeast or the southeast or the south, you can see a church and a mosque built centuries ago next to each other. You can sometimes see Christian people who celebrate Muslim holidays because the neighbors are Muslims, the colleagues are Muslims, and vice versa. Muslims do celebrate Christmas and Easter because their friends and colleagues and neighbors are Christians. And of course, because more holidays. Still, don't get me wrong, we don't wake up here in the morning to hold hands and sing, "We are the world, we are the children." Like, no, we don't do this. It's a usual place, like it's the usual deal here as well, guys. We have people who are like, "We are the world, we are the children." But on the other hand, you have the neo-Nazis and far-right politicians and so on and so forth. Like, don't get me wrong, it's the usual deal. But generally speaking, the people who live together, okay? And they coexist peacefully. So even here, guys, you can see, just life is passing very peacefully. No hard feelings, nothing like this. People are existing and living together. And to prove my words, do you see the black dome over there, behind the retro building? Can you see on top of the red dome, what's on top of it? Magen David, the symbol of Judaism, the Star of David, the shoes of David. So that's over there is the Sofia synagogue. It was built in the early 20th century, and there are only 2 synagogues in Bulgaria. This one and one in Plovdiv, the second biggest city, the city I was talking about earlier. So why do we have only 2 synagogues in the country? Because there are only 5,000 Jewish people in the country nowadays. But during the Second World War, there were 10 times more. There were 4,000 Jewish people, 10 times more. But the story doesn't continue the way you might think it will continue. No, guys, Bulgaria is one of the very few countries in Europe who did manage to save the Jewish population of the country during the Second World War. When asking about the king, I told you a bit about it. So how did it happen? I told you like we joined the Nazis, and as allies with the Nazis, with Hitler, we were supposed to deport the Jewish community to the concentration camps. But exactly because we joined the Nazis, that meant they didn't occupy us, right, guys? We were a free country, independent country, with our own government, with our own independence, sovereignty. So when, of course, because we joined the Nazis, some people in the government were pro-Nazi. We had anti-Semitic laws introduced. They had to wear the yellow star to show they're Jewish. On the restaurants and coffee places, they were going to put signs forbidden for dogs and for Jews. They're going to chase them away from work, from university, from school. Even children are going to be allowed to go to school. They were forbidden to go out after 6 p.m. The property was taken away from them at some point. The men had to go and work building factories, building roads, building bridges, like forced labor. So there was discrimination, don't get me wrong, in the Second World War, and we were allies with Hitler. But I told you guys, that was from the government down. The people had absolutely no problem. As I told you, for centuries in the Ottoman Empire, Christians, Muslims, Jewish people were living next to each other, neighborhood next to neighborhood, village next to village. So they learned how to live peacefully with each other and to respect each other. So in the society, the Bulgarian people saw what's going on with the Jewish community. They were like, hey guys, what's happening? Why is my neighbor not allowed to go to work? Why are the children not allowed to go to school? They're just children, come on. They have to go to school. What does it matter they're Jewish and we're not? What does it matter? We are citizens of the same country with the same rights and the same responsibilities. So people showed support, openly showing support for the Jewish community. Our church was not staying silent. Christian religion through our church officially showed support for the Jewish community. They had declarations saying, we believe that all humans are born equal and nobody deserves discrimination like this, no matter their background, ethnicity, religion whatsoever. So the church stepped in as well to defend the Jewish community. And keep in mind, before communism, the church had much more authority than nowadays after communism. And also, guys, Our politicians, not everybody was pro-Nazi, some were like against this. And they were signing petitions asking to stop this anti-Semitic laws. So my point is there was plenty of resistance from the society, from the church, politicians, a lot of voices who were speaking to defend the Jewish community. But on the other hand, you have Hitler, and he demands deportations. So what can you do? Tell him no? It doesn't work like this. Imagine Hitler asked you to do something and you're like, no, I don't feel like doing it, dude. I don't know. It doesn't work this way. So our government had to find a way to balance between those things. And they found a way. Every time Hitler asked for deportations, our government would say, yeah, of course, man, we're gonna do it. Yes. But you know what? We cannot do it now because there is too much tension in the society, we don't want to risk any rebellions, or because the church is messing in our deeds, or because they work for us, they do the road, the bridge, the factory. We cannot do it now. We're gonna wait 6 months or 7 months or 1 year, and then we go on something, okay? Later. Later never came, guys. 49,000 people were saved from the Holocaust because the society, the church, politicians came together to do something they believe was the proper thing to do at this point of history, and very importantly, they could do it. They were free to do it because we were an independent country and nobody was occupying us. Okay, guys, so this is one side of the story about the Bulgarian Jewish people, how they were saved. But keep in mind there is also another side of the story where we talk about 11,000 Jewish people, and not only Jewish, but 11,000 people from nowadays North Macedonia, to Yugoslavia back in those days, and North Greece, who were not saved but deported, and 12 people from 11,000 to 12 survived. Why do I tell this? Well, those lands were under the administration and occupation of the Bulgarian army during the Second World War. So the big picture is, guys, 49,000 from Bulgaria proper were saved, but 11,000 from territories under the responsibility of our army were not. I'm a historian, guys. For me, you know, history is not like black and white. It's very, very gray. So I want to give you a lot of different views so you can make your own opinions. Now, where are the Jewish people nowadays? 1948, Israel was established. So during the 4 years between 1948 and 1952, the communist government opened the border for the Jewish people and let them out, because you know communist countries are not very open of people living. So, but they made an exception for the Jewish people. They opened the border, and 90% of the Jewish community of Bulgaria left the country in those 4 years between 1948 and 1952. That's why only 4,000 remain nowadays in the country.
Where did they go?
این اون حمامی بود که راجع به صحبت میکردیم که بعد از تسلط عثمانی ها ساخته شد. البته الان حمام نیست، ازش به عنوان موزه استفاده میکنن. و توضیح بیشتر رو از زبان راهنما بشنوید.
And guys, you took some pictures here. A lot of people take pictures of this building because it's a very unique style. Only here in the region you can find it. You guys speak it's Greek, similar. It's called New Byzantine, you know, Byzantine like the East Roman Empire. So after the Ottomans were gone, we tried to revive some of our history from the Middle Ages, from the medieval times, from the influence of the East Roman Empire. So as a result, you got this beautiful architectural style called New Byzantine. And this building also have some Art Nouveau elements and also some Oriental from the Ottoman Empire influence. But it was built in the early 20th century after the Ottoman Empire was gone. So now it used to be a bath, it was built for a public bath. It used to be a bath, but it's no longer a bath. Now it is a museum, the Sofia History Museum. So if you like history, it's a nice place to visit. But if you want to go and take a nice hot mineral bath, I told you we have 38 hot mineral springs with hot mineral waters. So where can you go and take a nice hot mineral bath? In Budapest. Because in Sofia, unfortunately, we don't have them in the city center. We have them around Sofia, like Bankia, 1 hour with bus, or half an hour with car, or Sapareva Bani, which is if you go to the Seven River Lakes, it's a very popular place for bath, or Hisari if you go to Plovdiv region as well. So around we have them, but in the city, like in Budapest, no. There is some idea to make this building into a museum and a spa.
بعد از دیدن حمام از طریق این دوتا دروازه عبور کردیم و به قسمت جدید که مربوط به دوران کمونیسم بوده میخوایم وارد بشیم.
trees. We cannot see the buildings, so I'm going to show you some pictures. So this part of our city around us was completely destroyed during the Second World War from the USA and the British Empire. We were the enemy, so they launched some air strikes. This city center was completely destroyed. And when the communists took power, they decided not to rebuild the previous buildings like other places around Europe. They decided to build those massive buildings around us to symbolize new regime, new government, new power. So the style of those buildings is a very typical called socialist classicism, better known as Stalinism, or Stalin style, Stalin Baroque, Stalin Empire. If you go to Berlin on Karl Marx Allee, Friedrichshain, Karl Marx Allee, you're going to see the same buildings. If you go to Warsaw in Poland, the National Palace of Culture, very much the same. If you go to Moscow, to Kiev, to Shanghai, China, there is also one of those over there. So this is like the most popular style in the former East Bloc. And the central building used to be the headquarters of the Communist Party with a big red star on top of it. But then in the year 1990, a helicopter came and took the star away. Where is the star nowadays? The star, what? Museum, exactly. It's in the, my candies are over there. The star is in the Socialist Art Museum next to the statue of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin I was talking about a bit earlier. Lenin? Lenin? Do you know Lenin? You have him in South Africa? Only John Lennon. And I know those examples very well because my grandfathers were in the two extreme opinions. One of my grandfathers was like, Martin, back in the good old days, we were building a system of equality, no poverty, no hunger. Stalin was a great hero. Like, guys, my grandfather had a picture of Stalin in his room until his last days. Like 10 years ago, I got with my grandfather and my grandfather. Oh, Stalin. My other grandfather, he was like, Martin, those criminals didn't care about equality. All they cared was stealing, killing, getting more rich for the top of everybody. When they took power, our village, people started disappearing one by one, dead bodies, blood in the river, dead bodies in the forest. When they stopped killing, they started stealing, taking the animals, the farms, the land of the people. And my grandfather was like, yeah, they didn't care about equality or communism. They were just a bunch of criminals with power who made our country into a prison and a totalitarian dictatorship. So as you might guess, family meetings, not super fun, but I have a unique case. We were like doing this, I guess you have the same in the family.
Yeah, my family loves it.
Oh, they love it, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have the extreme opinions.
Yeah, the other part they left for America.
Oh, yeah.
So the part that stayed here, they love the equality, whatever. It's just about the traveling. Can you say that? Could they travel abroad?
Yes, to the Soviet Union, to Poland,
Yeah.
to Romania.
Yeah. But nowhere else.
Hey, you can also go somewhere else if you have connections. Like, you know, if you're more equal than the others, then you can do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, guys, it was a very traumatic experience for the nation. Like, even you might guess, people like very extreme opinions. It was not an easy period, like 1990s, early 2000s. Not very easy period for our society. So we had to find a way how to deal with this. So we found a way how to deal with this, and the way we found was never speak about it. Don't talk about it. So guys, when I was in high school, I was studying history of Bulgaria. Second World War was over, and my textbook was over. And I was like, that's a long time ago. And my teachers were like, shut up. Nothing happened after that, don't ask questions. When I was doing the tours like 10 years ago, I'm talking about communism here, and some angry elderly people hear me say communism and they come yell at me. How dare you talk about communism? Are you stupid? Like, why not? You don't even remember those days? And I'm like, yeah, I also don't remember the Roman Empire, but I talk about the Roman Empire. Like, what's the difference? So eventually nowadays things are much more calmed down, generations are changing, we're more open to the world and so on and so forth. We can travel and see and experience these things. So eventually, nowadays young people are studying this topic in the textbooks, and they study in high school life under a totalitarian dictatorship. Because officially, guys, those 45 years in Bulgaria are labeled as totalitarian dictatorship and a criminal regime against the people. because of 14 points that the National Assembly agreed that those 14 points that happened in the communist regime were criminal. So that's the official statement nowadays. But keep in mind, sometimes when I say something like this, some people walking around start yelling at me again like, you're stupid, how dare you talk like this, stupid, So it's more still controversial topic, but not so much. Young people nowadays don't care so much about it. They care about K-pop music for some reason, and TikTok and Instagram reasons. Yeah, times are changing, so things are much more calm down nowadays. If you want to know more about this topic, like what happened in Bulgaria, how similar we were to the Soviet Union and the rest of this blog, about traveling, about good things, about terrible things, like all the topic, but also not only political and history stuff, also human perspective. We have a communist tour where we also share politics, history, but also stories from our parents and grandparents and people who lived back in those days, so you can make your own opinion about this topic and to understand more about how people lived back in those days here. Now, the communist tour is every single day at 4 p.m. at the same place.
از اینجا همینطور که میبینید وارد زیرزمین شدیم و مربوط به تاریخ امپراتوریشون هست. میبینید که ستونهای و دیوارها باقی موندن و سعی کردن ترمیمش کنن.
This is the east gate, the gate to the east. And of course those bricks and stones are new ones, but the ones on the lower level you see behind me, the ones you guys are sitting on, staying on, this is the Roman Empire for 5th century antiquity. And this is the main east-west boulevard of the Roman Empire city of Serdica. It's called the Cumanus Maximus, Latin name, the east-west. The north-south is Cardo Maximus. So this is the east-west boulevard, and it's part of something bigger. If you keep on in that way, you're going to go to Belgrade. After Belgrade, Budapest, West Europe, West Roman Empire. If you go the other way around, we're going to go to Istanbul. And after Istanbul, Middle East, Asia, India, China. So this is the fastest, shortest, cheapest way to move between the East and the West on land. It was called Via Militaris, also known as Via Diagonalis. Belgrade, Sofia, Istanbul. And as you know, Europe and Asia have always been fighting and doing business. Fighting and doing business. That means a lot of people were moving around. And with the people, what else moves around? Goods, food, animals, information, ideas, culture, religion, civilization. That's how civilization is being made, guys. Not by me sitting in my village and speaking with my friends, like my friends. No, it's being made by us exchanging, sharing, meeting different cultures, different people, different backgrounds and so on and so forth. So eventually, because of stones like this, our civilization is being born, because those roads were connecting here the world. Europe, North Africa, Asia, Middle East, Asia, India, China. You know how historians call this one? Historians call it the Silk Road. The Silk Road is not like one physical road. The Silk Road is a network of many roads. You can go to different places. But this east-west exchange is considered to be the Silk Road that made us perfectly fine to take photos with those soldiers. Behind me is the presidency where our president works. But our president is not like the French or the American or the Russian. Our president is more like the King of England. Hello, I'm important, but doesn't have real opinion. It's mostly a representation of the nation. Can veto, can do some stuff, but mostly limited powers. The real power, executive power, is in the Prime Minister on the other side of the street, the boulevard, the flag that's close to the Minister to the Prime Minister. In the center is the National Assembly, legislation, and behind me, President's representation. That's why he gets also the guards in front. Those are real soldiers, but here they have only ceremonial folk. They stay guard from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening, but every 15 minutes, both of them march with small ceremonies to places. They never do it when we're here, guys. They don't like attention, so don't wait for it. They don't wait for it. They hate us, so they don't wait for us to go away. They don't want to. And every 1 hour, they change the soldiers with the other soldiers for those ones to rest a bit. If you want... Yeah. I love that you guys are taking pictures of this church because it's a very important church. So yeah, This church is called Rotonda Sveti Georgi, or the round church of Saint Rotunda. Now, this church was built back when emperor of the Roman Empire, who was Constantine the Great, the one guy I talked about just now, early 4th century. So this makes the church 1,700 years old, which is very cool, right? The Roman Empire was the Roman Empire. Constantine was emperor, and this church has been a church since then, basically. So yeah, they're always building in our city a church from the Roman Empire, 4th century. And when the Ottomans conquered Bulgaria, they turned a lot of churches into mosques. They also turned this church into a mosque. And you know, inside there was plenty of paintings, of frescoes, of saints, charities depicting them. So in Islam, you are not allowed to paint, to depict nature or humans whatsoever. So they covered all the paintings in plaster. 19th century, the Ottomans are gone. When the church again to a church, historians go there, remove the plaster, and discover 4 levels of paintings, of frescoes under the Ottoman level. So you have the 6th century East Roman Empire, you have the 8th, 10th, 12th century Middle Ages, medieval times, and you have the 14th century. They kept a bit from the Ottoman Empire influence as well, guys. So inside this church you can see 5 years of history from 3 civilizations: the East Roman Empire, the Middle Ages of Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. And to we do in Sofia, the activity is called Pejka party. Pejka means bench, party means party. So basically it's a bench party. Public drinking. This place is most popular for. People ask me, but Martin, is it legal to drink in public? The answer is, I don't know. Nobody knows, but everybody does it, and there is no problem, guys. So if you want to experience the Sofia nightlife, buy a beer from the market, from the shop, drink it on a bench in a park. That's how we start our nights out, and sometimes also finish them. And in this park also you can find the theater, which we all see down there, the National Theater, and over there you can find a typical Bulgarian local tradition, which we call Oktoberfest of beer drinking and Wurst essen. Yeah, guys, the German embassy loves this place over there.
اینجا وارد حوض جلوی محوطه تئاتر شهر میشیم.
The National Theater, Ivan Vazov, the theater building, the main one in Sofia. It's built in the early 20th century, new classical style. It's just a theater, guys, nothing very special about it, but I love this place. Sofia is not like Prague, where you have the beautiful architecture all around the city, or like Paris, where you have the very similar building. Like my brother, when we went to Paris, my brother was like, now you're going to go in the subway, ride for 15 minutes, go out, it's the same, like the buildings are very much similar, the same. So Sofia is much more eclectic, much more chaotic, guys. From the damages on the walls and so on, you can see how different periods are coexisting together. Not only the Middle Ages, Roman Empire, Ottoman Empire, and so on and so forth. Used to be Royal Palace, where our king used to live, but our king is no longer a king, so the Royal Palace is no longer Royal Palace. It's an art gallery, National Art Gallery. I told you I'm not very good at art, but if you are, and you would like to learn more, this is one place you can visit. The second floor of the building is the Royal Family Collection of Art, and the first floor is the temporary exhibitions. They have different stuff every now and then, they change it with other stuff. So yeah, guys, you can visit this place if you like. Yeah, now we're gonna close, guys, and have a very much nice view of the church. Let's go. So the church behind me, I'm just going to cry under. I'm gonna go back home and cry in my pillow. So. Now, the church behind me is called Alexander Nevsky. It's the biggest church in Bulgaria that we talked already about. It's 50 meters high, 5,000 people can go inside at the same time. It was built in the early 20th century with the intention to become like a symbol of our city. It became a symbol of our city. I go to Google, write Sofia, Bulgaria, click on images in Google, and you go see mostly images of this church behind me, some of the theater, some of the communist buildings, but mostly this one behind me. And now, guys, I'm going to tell you a very fun part about the story. The very fun part of the story is that Bulgarian people, we have absolutely no idea who that guy Alexander Nevsky was. Absolutely irrelevant for our history. We don't care about this guy. So why did we name the biggest church in our country after some random person? Well, because he was important for the people in the Russian Empire. The Russians fought a war against the Ottoman Empire, and as a consequence helped us gain our independence after 5 centuries in the Ottoman Empire. Hi guys, everybody can I come? Thank you so much guys for your patience. Thank you so much for staying to the very end guys. I'm very happy that you're still here. Didn't run away. Only two people run away without telling me bye, but it's okay, it's fine. So now guys, we're gonna finish with this church. Do you remember I talked about the church Saint Sofia that gave the name to our city, the Hagia Sophia, that means wisdom? That's it, that's the church that gave the name to the city. How did it happen? So down from here as you can see, so we're on top of a hill. And the church was the biggest building in the area up until 19th century. So imagine living in the Middle Ages, medieval times, and you come from Istanbul or Belgrade or Thessaloniki. You're gonna ride your horse, and the first thing you're gonna see in the distance was what? Not the city, guys. The city was down there in the lower part of the waters we came from. The first thing you're gonna see in the distance was the hill and the church on top of it. And you're gonna say, ah, this is Sofia, the church Sofia, right? But after centuries and centuries of repeating this word, this name, I see Sofia, there is Sofia, Sofia is very close, Sofia, Sofia, Sofia. Eventually, people start referring not only to the church, they were already referring to the whole area around the church, including the city next to the church. 14th century is the first time we have like a document where the name Sofia is used for the name of the city as well. And up until 19th century, our city had several names, official names. In the 19th century, we chose, when the city became capital, we chose Sofia to become the only official name, to remain the only official name. I'm very happy because the other option was the Slavic name of the city, which is Sredec. Sofia, much better, guys. Beautiful word, beautiful name. It means wisdom in Greek language. Beautiful choice. So now, guys, we went to Istanbul. Or you know about Istanbul, yeah? You know that there is one big church, Hagia Sophia church. It was a church, then a mosque, then a museum. Now it's again a church. No, again a mosque. Sorry, not a church. So, now, this one over here and the one in Istanbul were built by the same guy, Emperor Justinian the Great, in the same century, 6th century. And he built both of them and named both of them Sofia because he was dedicating them to the wisdom of God. Sofia means wisdom. Here around, guys, this tree, because for me this tree is very nice representation of Sofia, my hometown. People come here come without any expectations, or if they have expectations, they expect it to be a dark and grey post-Soviet city, like with grumpy people and like East Europe, some smoking and drinking, you know. But then they come here, guys, and they see the sun is shining. It's very green, very flowery, very colorful. We have so much history: Roman Empire, Ottoman Empire, communism, all at one place. The people here some are grumpy, but you have seen only two. Me and her so far, so we're not so grumpy. The food is good, guys. So for me, Sofia is a hidden treasure. Just like hiding, like this bell and the birds in the tree. So Sofia is hiding like this in the world. Not for Hong Kong, you guys are like, hey, it's a beautiful city, beautiful country. We were very eager to come here, so but still, guys, we're not like Paris or Rome or London or whatever, guys. But it has its charm, and I have had the privilege, and I'm so grateful for the past 13 years to have this chance to do those tours and share my love for my hometown and the hidden treasures with you guys. Cool, smiley people from all around the world. They have like a world visit. Merci beaucoup. Vielen Dank.